Dear learners, today we are going to discuss about CSIR UGC National Eligibility Test, and we will focus on part A of this exam, and we will cover some important questions from previous year papers. This is the scheme of part A. Basically, the question paper has three sections: part A, part B and part C. In part A, we are having 20 questions which are based on general science, quantitative reasoning, analysis and research aptitude, and each candidate is required to answer any 15 questions out of these 20 questions. Each question carries 2 marks, therefore total marks allocated for this section is 30 out of a total of 200 marks. And this section, that is part A, is common for all the sciences, that is physical, chemical, mathematical, life and earth sciences. Now we are going to discuss some questions from set A of December 2018 exam. The first question is, a rectangular photo frame of size 30 cm by 40 cm has a photograph mounted at the center, leaving a 5 cm border all around, and we are asked to calculate the area of the border. So this is the diagram. The outer red colored rectangular box represents the photo frame having a size of 30 cm by 40 cm, while the inner rectangular green box represents the photograph. Since we have to leave 5 cm border all around, so if we try to calculate the length of photographs, it will be 30 cm minus 5 cm from this and 5 cm from here. So it will be 30 minus 10, that is 20 cm, and breadth will be 40 cm minus 5 from here and 5 from here. So 40 minus 10 will give you 30 cm. So if we calculate the area of rectangular photo frame, it will be 30 into 40, that is 1200 cm square, while the area of inner rectangular photograph will be 20 into 30, that is 600 cm square. So basically, in order to calculate the area of the border, we just have to subtract these two areas. So 1200 minus 600 will give you 600 centimeters square. So the option 1 is the correct answer. So second question, at a birthday party, every children gets 2 chocolates, every mother gets 1 chocolate, while no father gets a chocolate. In total, 69 persons get 70 chocolates. If the number of children is half of the number of mothers and fathers put together, then how many fathers are there? So let us assume that number of children is X, number of mothers is Y, and number of fathers is Z. And we apply the given conditions. Total number of chocolates is 70, and each child gets 2 chocolates, each mother gets 1 chocolate, and father gets no chocolates. So this means 2 times X plus 1 into Y plus 0 into Z should be equal to 70. That is the total number of chocolates. And there are total 69 persons. So this means if you add up X, Y and Z, it should give you 69. So this will be our second equation. And third condition is number of children is half of the sum of number of mothers and number of fathers. So this means X will be equal to half of Y plus Z. So this is our equation number 3. Since we have to calculate the number of fathers, that is we need to find the value of z. So we will substitute the value of x from equation 3 into equation number 1 and equation number 2. So these will give you 2y plus z equal to 70 and 1.5y plus 1.5z equal to 69. In order to remove the decimal, we will multiply both sides with 2 by 3, so it will give you y plus z equal to 46, and equation number 4 is 2y plus z equal to 70. So we subtract equation 5 from equation 4, so you will get y equal to 24, and we substitute the value of y back into equation 5, and from this you will get z equal to 46 minus 24, that is equal to 22. So number of fathers should be equal to 22. This means option A is the correct answer. Now we proceed towards question number 3. What is the value of 1 square minus 2 square plus 3 square minus 4 square and so on up to minus 18 square plus 19 square? First of all, we separate the given series in terms of series involving odd numbers and series involving even numbers. Now we have to calculate sum of squares of the series containing odd terms and sum of squares of the series containing even terms. For this, we proceed as follows. We consider sum of squares of even terms up to 2n terms, and we take 2 square as common, that is we are taking 4 as common. So in the bracket we will have 1 square plus 2 square and so on up to n square. Now this given series is familiar to us, so it is basically sum of squares of the first n terms, and we know that formula for this sum is n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 divided by 6. So cancelling out the common factors between 4 and 6, we will eventually get 2n into n plus 1, 2n plus 1 divided by 3. So this is sum of the series containing even terms. Now in order to calculate sum of series containing odd terms, we subtract the sum of squares of all 2n numbers and sum of squares of the first n even numbers, that is 1 square plus 2 square and so on up to 2n square minus 2 square plus 4 square so on up to 2n square. So by subtracting these two series, we will get the sum of series containing odd terms only. Now the first term or the first bracket is sum of squares of first 2n numbers. So this is identical to the series we used in the previous step. The only difference is that it was for first n terms, but now it is up to 2n terms. So we will use the same formula. The only difference will be in place of n we will put 2n. So 2n into 2n plus 1 into 4n plus 1 divided by 6 minus, for this even series we can use the previous result, that is 2n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 divided by 3. So on solving these, we will eventually get n into 2n plus 1 into 2n minus 1 divided by 3. So now we have the result for sum of series containing even terms and sum of series containing odd terms. The only thing we need to know is the number of terms in both the series. So if you calculate the number of terms present in the odd series, it is 10, and number of terms present in the even series is 9. So accordingly we put n equal to 10 for the odd sum and n equal to 9 for the even sum, and we further solve these terms, so eventually we will get 190. So option 4 is the correct answer. Next question. The curves of y equal to 2x square and y equal to 4x intersect each other at. So we have to calculate where these two curves will intersect each other. For this we just equate the right hand sides of the two curves. So that is 2x square equal to 4x. We shift 4x on the left hand side, so 2x square minus 4x equal to 0, and we take 2x as common, so we will get 2x into x minus 2 equal to 0, which means either 2x should be equal to 0 or x minus 2 should be equal to 0. From this we will get either x equal to 0 or x equal to 2. So as it is clear that these two curves intersect at 2 points, so our answer will be option 2. Next question. The diameters of the pinholes of two otherwise identical cameras A and B are 500 micrometer and 200 micrometer respectively. Then the image in the camera A will be. So to solve this question, we have to take into account two factors. Sharpness of an image is inversely proportional to the diameter of the pinhole. Since the diameter of camera A is more, this means its sharpness will be less. And brightness is directly proportional to the diameter. So this means the brightness of the image from camera A will be more. So combining the two facts, it is clear that our answer will be option 3, that is image from camera A will have less sharpness but more brightness. Let us now proceed towards question number 6. If D is ABC plus BCA plus CAB, where A, B and C are decimal digits, then we have to find D is divisible by which of these four options. In order to solve this, we first consider a number 524, and we know that we can split this number as 5 into 100 plus 2 into 10 plus 4 into 1, which means the digit 4 is at units place, digit 2 is at tens place, and digit 5 is at hundreds place. So after considering this example, we consider the actual case, that is ABC. So we can write it in the similar way, that is 100 into A plus 10 into B plus C. Similarly, BCA can be written as 100 times B 10 times C plus A, and CAB can be written as 100 times C plus 10 times A plus B. Now we add all these three equations. So we will have ABC plus BCA plus CAB equal to this thing, and we can take A plus B plus C as common from these three terms. So we will get 100 plus 10 plus A multiplied with A plus B plus C. So this is equal to 111 times A plus B plus C. So this means the given number D is divisible by 111, and we further know that this 111 is divisible by 37, but it is not divisible by 29. This means option 2 will be the correct answer. Number 7. For the following set of observed values, which of the statements is true? So we have to calculate mod, median and mean of the given set of values. So we start with the mean. We know that mean is equal to sum of all the values divided by the total number of values. So if you add up all these numbers, you will get 1337 and number of values is 15. So divide these and you will get 89.133. Now median is the middle value when we arrange the numbers in the ascending order. The total number of values is 15, which is an odd number. So in order to calculate the middle value, we have to add 1 to this and divide by 2. So our middle value will be 8th value. So if you count 8th value from the given set, it is 82. This means median is 82. A mod is the value which is repeated the most. So in the given set, the number 70 is repeated 4 times, which is the maximum. So this means mod is 70. Comparing the values of mean, median and mode, you can easily see that mod is the least value, median is the intermediate value and mean is the maximum value. So correct order is mod is less than median and median is less than mean. So this means our answer which is correct is option 1. Now question number 8. A circular running track has 6 lanes, each 1 meter wide. How far ahead in meters should the runner in the outermost lane start from so as to cover the same distance in 1 lap as the runner in the innermost lane? So we can focus on this diagram. We have total 6 lanes of this circular tracks and these lanes are distinguished by different colors. The innermost circle is having a radius of A and it is given that each lane has a width of 1 meter. So this means the innermost lane has a radius of A plus 1 while 6th lane will have a radius of A plus 6. And to calculate the distance, we calculate circumference of the innermost, that is the first lane, and the circumference of the outermost, that is 6th lane. So circumference of the inner lane, we know the formula for the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. So it will be 2 pi times A plus 1, while the circumference of the outer circle is 2 pi times A plus 6. So in order to calculate the distance, we subtract the circumference of outer lane and the circumference of the inner lane. So on subtraction we will get 10 pi. So this means the runner in the outermost lane should start 10 pi distance ahead of the runner in the innermost lane. So option 2 is the correct answer. Now question number 9. In an examination, 100 questions of 1 mark each are given. After the examination, 20 questions are deleted from evaluation, leaving 80 questions with a total of 100 marks. Student A had answered 4 of the deleted questions correctly and got 40 marks, whereas student B had answered 10 of the deleted questions correctly and got 35 marks. And we have to tell which option out of these 4 will be the correct. So we proceed as follows. Total number of questions which were not deleted is 80 and number of questions which were deleted is 20, and as per old scheme, one question was having 1 mark, but now 80 questions are of 100 marks. So this means new marks per question will be 100 divided by 80, which is 1.25. Now let us calculate how many questions were answered correctly by student A as well as student B. So number of questions answered correctly by student A will be 40 divided by 1.25 plus 4 questions from the deleted questions which were answered correctly. So it will be 32 plus 4, 36. So as per old scheme, the student A should have got 36 marks, but in the new scheme, student A actually obtained 40 marks. So he has gained 4 marks with this new scheme. Now let us calculate the number of questions correctly answered by student B. So it will be 35 divided by 1.25 plus 10 for the questions which were deleted but answered correctly by student B. So it will be 38. So as per old scheme, student B should have got 38 marks, but actually in the new scheme he obtained 35 marks. So this means he has lost, or he has 3 marks less as compared to the old scheme. So from these two, it is clear that B lost more than A. So option 3 is the correct answer. Question number 10. A tourist drives 20 km towards east, turns right and derives 6 km, then derives 6 km towards west. He then turns to his left and drives 4 km and finally turns right and drives 14 km. Where is he from his starting point? So let us first draw a diagram for this. So this is the origin. So the driver first drives towards east and distance covered by him is 20 kilometers. So this will be the position after covering 20 kilometer distance. Then the driver turns right. So this means he will go in this direction 6 kilometer, and after covering 6 kilometer he drives towards west and again covers a 6 kilometer distance. So west direction is in this side, so he will move 6 kilometer in this direction and reach at this point, and then he drives 4 kilometer towards his left. So this means he will drive in this direction and reach at this point, and finally he turns right and drives 14 kilometers. So this will be the direction in which he will drive, and finally he will arrive at this point. So basically we have to tell what is the distance between the origin and this final destination point. So this can be easily calculated from here. So this is 6 and this is 4. So 6 plus 4 is 10 kilometers. So this means driver will be 10 kilometer away from his starting point. So option 4 will be the correct answer. Question number 11. If this word means noodles, then we have to tell what will be the meaning of this given word. Firstly, we see that the given word and its meaning has a relation. That is, the first letter of the given word becomes the last letter of its meaning, as you can see in this diagram. So this means we have to just reverse the order of the given letters to get its meaning. So our given word is SPUOS. So its reverse will be SOUP and then S. So this means option 2 will be the correct answer. Question number 12. An ideal pendulum oscillates with angular amplitude of 30 degree from the vertical. If it is observed at a random instant of time, its angular deviation from the vertical is most likely to be 0 degree, plus minus 10 degree, plus minus 20 degree, or plus minus 30 degree. So this is the diagram for a pendulum which has maximum angular amplitude of 30 degree. This means this angle from the vertical is 30 degree. It is the maximum value on both sides. We know that at the extreme position the pendulum has maximum potential energy, while at the mean position the pendulum has maximum kinetic energy. So the pendulum will oscillate between mean and extreme positions. So this means its angular deviation will be plus minus 30 degree both sides. So option 4 will be the correct answer. Now question number 13. In the context of tiling a plane surface, which of the following polygons is the odd one out? Equilateral triangle, square, regular pentagon, and regular hexagon. So we are given a plane surface and we have to put tiles over that plane surface in such a way that there is no gap and there are no overlaps, and this process is known as tessellation. For a regular polygon to tessellate the plane surface, condition is that the sum of interior angles that meet at a common point should be equal to 360 degree. So if we consider the case of a square, triangle and hexagon, we see that sum of all the interior angles is 360 degree. This means they satisfy the condition of tessellation. While if we consider the case of a regular pentagon, sum of interior angles is 36 degree less than 360 degree. So this means by putting regular pentagon shaped tiles, we will not be able to tessellate the plane surface, which means option 3 is the correct answer for this question. Question number 14. Scatter plots for pairs of observations on the variables x and y in the sample A and B are as shown in the figure. So this is sample A and this is sample B. Which of the following is suggested by the plots? So basically we have to tell about the correlation between the two samples. So as you can see in the diagram A, that the points can be fitted almost in a straight line, but the points in figure B are more scattered. Hence correlation between x and y variables is stronger in case of sample A than in sample B. So option 1 will be the correct answer. So question number 15. Two solutions x and y containing ingredients A, B and C in proportions A is to B is to C and C is to B is to A respectively are mixed. For the resultant mixture to have A, B and C in equal proportion, which out of these four conditions must be satisfied? So let us consider X solution and Y solution. In X solution, we are having A, B, C in the proportions A is to B is to C, and in Y solution we are having C is to B is to A. So if we consider the proportion in solution X as 1 is to 2 is to 3, so then in Y solution it will be 3 is to 2 is to 1. So if we add these two solutions to form the mixture, we will get 1 plus 3, 4, 2 plus 2, again 4, 3 plus 1, again 4. That is, they are in equal proportion. And we notice that sum of extreme values, that is 1 plus 3 divided by 2, is exactly equal to the proportion of B. Similarly, in Y solution, sum of the extreme values, that is 3 plus 1 divided by 2, is exactly equal to the proportion of B. So which means B is always half of sum of the A and C. So this means the correct option will be D. So that's all for this video. I hope you liked this video. If you found the video to be interesting, please like, subscribe and share. Thank you.